Hey, and welcome back to the Holding Space podcast. I am Victoria B, Coach Victoria B, and this is the third episode of Holding Space. And today's topic is somewhat difficult for me to talk about because it is about holding secrets, family secrets, and it has to do with the death of my mom and the decisions that we made as an immediate family to hold a secret to protect my mother. Um, so it is something that is very sensitive, but I feel like it needs to be discussed because I'm not a person that holds secrets. And this has been since 2010 that we decided that we would not discuss or that we would not divulge how my mother died or her illness. Let's just say that her illness. So it is very sensitive. This episode may ruffle a little bit of feathers within my family. I'm not sure if it will or not, but I don't want to hold it in anymore. I don't like the stigma that's attached to the illness that my mom had. And I don't like it, has bothered me to say the least, to have to feel like I'm almost like I'm carrying shame. I'm carrying her shame. I'm carrying the stigma behind the illness. And I'll just go ahead and start with the story. And this is this is kind of heavy. So I don't know. I'm just bracing myself. It's difficult to say the least. So I'll go ahead and just get started. So this was October of 2010. It was close to my mom's birthday. And I noticed that every time that I would call her, she would just really kind of rush to get off the phone with me. And that was really odd because we stayed on the phone like I said in previous episodes, we talk to each other 10, 15, 20 times a day sometimes, especially after I moved away from my hometown. So it was real strange to me, but I didn't really think nothing of it. So I started to kind of question what was going on in my mind, but I still hadn't said anything. And then all of a sudden, instead of just getting off the phone with me, she would just be like, "When are you coming?" As soon as I get on the phone. And then I would, maybe give an estimate. Maybe I'll come this weekend or whatever. And then once she heard what I had to say, she would hang up, which was really odd. That was just really strange to me. And then one day, um, my grandmother, I talked to my grandmother and she said that they think that my mom has MS. And I was like, what? And so then I went to go visit her and she was holding on to the walls to walk and she was slurring her speech. And it was just really, it took me back because it was just to one day see her, healthy, nothing wrong. She's been a woman that's never been sick like that. And then all of a sudden she can barely walk and she can, she's slurring her words. Like, what is this? What's going on? So my grandmother was saying that they thought that she had MS and they were, trying to figure things out. And she was really declining really, really quickly. And so one day I got a phone call I was talking to my mom, and she said, "What if your mom has AIDS?" And I said, "What? What are you talking about?" And I thought that she was like delirious or something, or that she was just talking out of the side of her neck. And I was like, "Let me speak to grandma." So my grandma got on the phone and she said, "Tuesday, we have an appointment and you need to be there." And I'm like, "Okay, like what's going on?" But she was like, "I don't know. The doctor just said you need to be there." And so I'm really concerned at this point. What's going on? Is she talking out the side of her head? I really didn't even pay attention to what she was saying because that was just so far from anything that I thought, especially with them saying that she could possibly have MS. And so Tuesday came and we went to the doctor, but instead of it being like a regular doctor, it was at Baptist Hospital, and it was at the Centers for Disease Control. And I'm like, what are we doing here? And this is at the hospital. So confused, so confused. And so then we get to the appointment, and it's myself, my grandmother, my aunt, my mom, and my dad. And the doctor comes in and he tells us that my mother has AIDS. And so the room is just quiet. You could hear a needle drop to the floor. Nobody knew what to say. Nobody, like, it was just stunning and overwhelming. And then I could just remember my mom, looking at my mom, and I was angry immediately. And she was just holding her head down, and she wouldn't look at us. And so then I started asking questions. And so the doctor took me, and I believe maybe my aunt or my grandma, I don't know who it was. Everything is just really, it's not a blur, but I'm not sure of that particular detail, who it was that went out in the hallway with me, because he said that she has had it for over 20 years. And at that time, I was 28. And so I'm like, well, how long? Over 20 years. Because I'm 28. And he was like, not quite that long. And I'm like, well, how do you know? How do you know that it hadn't been that long? Because now I'm curious. And so I'm like thinking in my head, well, I know I get tested, you know, I was getting tested like at that time, like every 6 months, because I was in a relationship, but I wasn't married. And even when I was married, because of circumstances, I was getting tested quite often, every 6 months. And um, so I'm like, I know I wasn't born with anything. So, okay, well, how long? And so all he could say was over 20 years, but not quite 28 years. And so I'm just like, oh my God. And immediately I think about my dad, and I'm like, what the fuck? What is going on? And then I'm like, how could you not know? I didn't say that to her. I didn't, at that point, it was nothing that anybody could do about it, because of course by this time it's advanced. It's, you know, there was nothing nobody could do. So of course I didn't say anything to her, but as a family, our immediate family, myself, my grandmother, my aunt, my dad, we decided that we would not tell anyone, the church family, any, extended family members. No one should be told, and her visitation should be kept limited so that it would not be a mistake to be slipped up, even though something like that did happen. Um, and we just decided in that moment, because we didn't want her to be treated any differently, um, to not divulge her illness. And so that for me over the years has been very heavy on me. It's been like I was carrying the stigma myself, like it was mine, like I was carrying the shame, the guilt, everything that came behind that. And in my mother's demeanor, I could tell that she had a lot of shame, she had a lot of guilt, she had all of those things. I could tell that she had that. And I, you know, she I can't remember what I asked her, but her answer to me is for me. It basically, like, it's whatever happened, it's my experience, or it's my, I don't know how she saw it, because I didn't ask her any other questions outside of that, because I think I asked how she felt about it or something like that. And for so many years I have just held that, and it's been heavy. It's been so heavy, so heavy. And I just don't think that it is right that we immediately felt like we had to protect her because we didn't want anyone to treat her any differently because of this illness. And immediately, as soon as she got admitted into the hospital, what did I experience? I'm in there combing her hair. This white nurse comes in, older lady, and I'm combing my mom's hair. And she's like, "What are you doing? You need on gloves. Oh my God." And she's just, just, and I said, "Who are you talking to? Like, this is my mother. Like, what is going on?" And I'm like, if you saying that and like, I'm literally like, we're not swapping fluids. There's nothing going on except for me combing my mama's hair. And if you're acting like this over that, how do you treat these patients? So that to me solidified the choice that we made as a family to hold that secret and to protect my mom from being treated any differently as much as we could. And that in itself was rough. And mind you, this was 2010. So I've been carrying this since 2010. And I got to let it go. I got to let it go. We have to stop holding these secrets. We have to stop. We just have to stop because complete and full healing cannot take place as long as you're holding secrets and you're holding the trauma of that secret. And I can say for sure that it has been traumatizing, very traumatizing to hold that secret in for so long, worried about what other people would think, worried about how they would treat her or how they would react, or if somebody would come out the side of their mouth and I would have to bust them in the mouth for talking bad about my mama. Like all of those things you think about when you're holding a secret such as that. And it's sad that the disease has that stigma to it. And it's still all these years later has that stigma when you can get it in so many ways. And the fact that everybody that has something to say about it could possibly be exposed to it because of what you be doing behind closed doors, but you got something to say about it if it's somebody else. You just ain't got caught. You just ain't, you know what I'm saying? So it's baffling to me that it still has that same stigma to this day where you get treated differently, where you are afraid or you have shame or guilt behind it. So I'm done. Like I'm literally done holding that. Like I'm not a person that holds secrets. I don't have no secrets on my own. Like I don't do that, and it just has been really eating at me on the inside. And so I felt like it was very important that I share my experience with that because there's so many people I feel like that are holding family secrets that don't even belong to them that are affecting them, and the person is gone and has been gone for so long. That thing of what happens in our house stays in our house. I get it. I have even said it to my children when they were growing up. But you cannot expect for a child or any other person or family member or friend to be holding secrets like that and that could be affecting them for an entire lifetime. Some people go to their grave with somebody else's secrets that has tore them up. Like you don't understand what you're asking somebody to do or what you're asking yourself to do when you make a decision such as the decision that we as a family made to try to protect my mom. So I just think that it's just really important that we talk about these things, that it is not a stigma. It's not something that it's glorified to hold in secrets. Like you don't have to tell somebody's business, but in this case, this is my experience. This is what I have experienced, and I don't think that there should be any shame behind my mom having the AIDS. It should not be any shame, any guilt, or anything like that. Nobody should. It's 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 a shame that we felt like we had to hold that so that she wouldn't get treated any differently by church members, by family members, by anyone else. But that is the reality, and that's what we experienced. And it was very hurtful to be treated like that in the hospital and to see that she could possibly, when I'm not there, be mistreated because of her illness. So I just want to encourage anyone who is holding guilt or shame or a stigma that doesn't belong to you. You can hold space for your loved one or your friend or whoever the person is that is going through it. You can hold space for them. You could be supportive of them, but you don't have to hold the shame, the guilt, or anything else that comes along with it. You don't have to hold that because it's not yours. All these years, it was not mine to hold, and I've been holding on to it and harboring it. Anger because I was angry because I'm like, what is gonna happen to my dad? And thank God he ended up not having the illness, the disease. He did not. And that was just a blessing. All these years they had been together for over 20 years, I believe. Yeah, because I was 3 or 4 whenever they got together. Yeah, I was 3 or 4 whenever they got together. And mind you, my mom was a teen mom. So I don't even think she was, I don't know. I don't know how old she was, but she was 16 when she had me. Then, when I was 3 or 4, she got with my dad. And, you know, so yeah, I implore you to not hold on to things that don't belong to you. Hold space for those loved ones, but don't